I never tire of the feelings of gratitude I have for the incredibly supportive community that we all live in. I would like to make mention that tonight we gather on the territories, homeland of the Coast Salish and the Sooke Nation. A community that is rich in culture, diverse voices, and a little pizzazz for passion. Finding your passion changes everything. A passionate person, their energy that surrounds them and the way that impacts the world changes all of us. You know when you've met a passionate person, there's no mistaking it. You're drawn to them because they cause a bit of a stir. They get your heart beating. They spark something in your mind. And their complete essence announces that they've got something really cool going on with their lives, that they're up to something special. They are inspirational, they are energetic, and they're just plain and simple fun to be around. Tonight, there's 8 people that you are going to have some great fun with that live right here in Sooke. They are exactly that type of passionate person. And that is exactly why I am excited to be here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, on behalf of the Sooke Harbor Toastmasters, I would like to thank the EMCS Society for inviting us to join with them on tonight's Sooke Talks 2. Good. Yay. And in recognition of the history that this event is starting to build, I would like to invite the Sooke Talk groundbreakers sitting in the front row here to stand up and be recognized. Come on, you guys, stand up. You are really going to enjoy the time we spend together tonight. So let's make sure we're not disturbed. If I can ask you right now to take your cell phones out and to make sure they're on silent, or you can turn them off. I know my kids think that's kind of crazy, but it is an option. Events like tonight don't come together without many helping hands. I would like to name these helping hands, but I could please ask you for us to hold our applause until I'm finished naming all of them. Hi, Tristan.
Hello.
Nice to have you back.
Don't forget Steve.
Yeah, never ever. Tristan will be leading our tech team tonight and making sure that our lighting, our sound, and our slides all run smoothly with his team, Steve, and Steven. Tech team decided to take it easy on me tonight and all have the same name. We're fortunate enough to have Frank with us here again tonight as our videographer. With 3 decades as the tech expert for global news, Frank is the skill and the talent behind the Sooke Talks YouTube channel. Frank does ask that the middle row here please refrain from standing up during the speakers' performances so he can have a clear view of their video. Our 2 photographers tonight, Brad and Quentin, thank you so much for joining our Sooke Talks team and bringing your expertise and your skills to tonight's evening. Now, at 7:50, we're going to take a break. We're going to stretch our legs, and we're going to enjoy some sweet treats, all donated tonight by some fantastic businesses in Sooke. Our sweet treats tonight are from Kelt's Bakery, West Coast Natural Foods, Seaside Sweets, Village Foods, Western Foods, and Jenny's Bakery. There's also a silent auction going on tonight. The items, again, were all donated, and they're going to make fantastic stocking stuffers. So please have fun with that. And they were all donated, again, for our fundraiser tonight by, I'm going to have to remember all of them. We've got Island Haircutting, Carolyn's Boutique, Whiskers and Wags Pet Food Store, the Stick Coffee House. We've got, the Barking Dog Studio. We have the Sea of Bloom Florist. We have we've got the H2O Surf Shop. We also have Whale of a Tale Arts and Antiques. And we have 642 Where. Like I said, do we not have a supportive community? Please put your hands together for all the efforts that they've given us for tonight. A couple quick housekeeping duties that I have to do. In case of an emergency and we all have to leave the building, we will do so in a calm and orderly fashion, right? Calm and orderly. Everybody nod. Thank you. Thank you. Through the 2 exits, either on the bottom or through either door at the top, straight out the hall. For the necessary facilities, you'll find both of them straight out the top doors and right down the hallway. Okay, now all those duties are done. Now it's time for you to sit back, get comfortable, and get ready to be inspired, energized, and have some fun. There have been so many quotes written by some incredibly passionate people, but one of my favorite quotes starts like this. Everyone asks me, what do you want to do when you grow up? I say, I don't really think about it. I just do what my passion tells me to do, and I don't wait. Lucky for us, the author of that sage quote is our first speaker tonight. And now he's the type of person that needs no alarm clock because his passions wake him up. Please welcome to the stage, Kaidyn.
Passion. I have had a lot of them. I have a lot of them. And I'm going to have many more in the future. Have you had any? Do you have any? Are you going to have any in the future? Okay, I get it. I'm only 9. What could I possibly teach you about passion? Well, when I decided this is what I wanted to share with you, I did what most anybody does. I Googled it. And I couldn't believe what I found. When I saw this, I thought, what people post these days? This is a misconception about passion, and I'm here today to tell you why that is wrong. I'm going to remind you about a passion you had but forgot about, one you have but you're not paying attention to, or one in your future that seems impossible. Let me tell you something. If you don't hold on to your passion, your dreams, your hope, and your happiness will just slip right through your fingers. Your passion does not have to be your career. You don't have to quit your day job and turn your passion into a money-making machine. You don't have to mortgage the family home, spend all your kids' university money, or sell all your possessions. It doesn't have to be your whole life, but it can make one small part of your life seem just about near perfect. Like I said, I've had a lot of passions. A big one was the Titanic. I drew a stack of pictures that my mom says could sink a Titanic. Then, Leonardo da Vinci. Did you know he wrote in mirror writing? For a whole year, my mom had to hold my homework up to the bathroom mirror just to be able to read it. But these days, my passion is more about the small things in life. I'm a small artist, and I don't just mean 9-year-old 4'1" small. I mean 1/12 scale. Do you even know what that is? I'm a miniature artist. It's my latest passion. And I'm going to tell you what can happen when you don't let your passion slip through your fingers. So listen, I'm going to set the scene. We're at Sea Park. I've just finished swimming lessons. And right there, on the wall, Sooke Fine Arts, Youth category. That's me. I'm applying. And I need my mom's help. We contact them. They contact us. They say, grade 6 and up. I was only in grade 3, but this was my passion, and I wasn't about to let it slip through my fingers. And this is where being my age is better than being your age. Because I'm not afraid of rejection yet. So I made a deal. I convinced everybody to just let me go through the application process, even though I knew I would be rejected. I bet you're wondering, what would drive me to go that far to not let the fact that I knew I would be rejected before I even started? Passion, people! The first time I heard about 1/12 scale, that was it for me. I can't believe people can even do this. Hey, wait a minute. I'm a person. I know details. And this feels like it could be a dream come true for me. It gives me hope that always leads to happiness, passion. Application completed. My people talked to their people. And guess what? You don't always know where your passion can lead you. I never would have thought that my past passions for selling herbs at the Saturday market and my other passion for loitering in art galleries would lead to a whole bunch of you, the community, stepping up to support my passion. And the next thing you know, I'm sitting in front of one of the directors of Sooke Fine Arts. Apparently, my passion is infectious. And the next thing you know, they're wanting me to share my passion with you. And suddenly, there's room for a 3rd grader in the art show. This is my passion right now. Do you think it was a mistake? Do you think it was wrong to follow that passion? Because that moment was a small part of my life that seemed just about near perfect. But nothing in life is completely perfect. That's why pencils have erasers. Remember, I also told you I would prove that wrong? Well, I just did that. Remember, I also told you I would remind you about a passion you had, but forgot about? One you have, but you're not paying attention to? or one in your future that seems impossible. Hold on. Well, I just did that too. Hold on to your passion right there in your hands. And I promise you, your dreams, your hope, and your happiness will never just slip through your fingers.
Okay. If that doesn't wake up a sleeping passion inside you, nothing will. I promise you that. But seizing your passions can take a lot of courage. Nothing in life's a guarantee. Sometimes it takes a leap of faith, especially when you want to make that passion be your livelihood. Our next speaker is going to take us on that leap of faith with him. Well, he tells us and explains to us that when you start following your passion, the distance between your work and play dissolves. Please welcome to the stage, Zac.
Fresh out of university, with my teaching degree in hand, ready to take on the world. I took a job working in Toronto with at-risk inner-city youth. It was a different world, a completely foreign culture to me, a world that was about to change me. I grew up just 45 minutes away from there, but it might as well have been another planet. I mean, this was a world where wearing the wrong sort of shoes can get you beat up or even killed. This was the first time that I learned about a niche world known as the sneaker culture. It was something that my teaching degree, it didn't teach me, it didn't prepare me for, and it certainly didn't warn me about. The day I will never forget. I was always headfirst into everything after school. I mean, I was coaching, I was tutoring, I was mentoring. I was running program for the youth 5 nights a week. And the kids that were attending my program, they were doing really well. Until that one day. 6 of my students got onto a city bus after school. A few stops later, a father and son got onto the bus. That father, he accidentally stepped on one of my students' shoes. That father and son, they were beaten up so severely that they were hospitalized. And my 6 students, they were facing criminal charges. I was absolutely devastated. I could not for the life of me understand how somebody could so severely damage the lives of others and at the same time put their entire future at risk. Well, this was my introduction to the sneaker culture. Obviously, my students' behavior was apprehensible and inexcusable. But at the same time, I need to understand why. So I went out into the community. I started talking to community members. I started talking to people within the sneaker culture. And I quickly understood that these were much more than just shoes. They were symbols. They were status indicators within this social hierarchy. I knew that I had to do something. All I could think about was how many more kids' lives would and could be thrown away. How many more people's lives would and could be destroyed over a pair of shoes? I had to do something. I went online and I started to do some research. And I came across this craft of restoring old shoes. You know, taking the creases out, removing the scuff marks, re-dyeing the suede and the leather, and repainting the shoes to make them look new again. Through the use of YouTube and online tutorials, I taught myself this craft. And I started asking kids in the community to start bringing me their old sneakers for me to restore. I couldn't imagine anybody else jeopardizing their lives over a pair of shoes. As I got comfortable working with the shoes and working with the leather, I started to doodle on them, and I started to redesign the leather. I started taking these old shoes and turning them into pieces of art. And this is where I realized that this was one of my real passions in life. And my students, they absolutely loved it. They thought it was so cool, and they were the ones that convinced me to start sharing my work on social media. Well, one Sunday, I'm sitting there watching football with some friends, and I get a message on Instagram from somebody claiming to be Aroldis Chapman. Now, for the non-baseball fans in the room, Aroldis Chapman is a world championship pitcher. He's had the fastest pitch on planet Earth for the majority of the last decade. So obviously, I thought I was being pranked. There's no way that this is Aroldis messaging me. Then he sends me a picture of him and his kids in the pool. I was blown away. He had asked me to create some custom sneakers for him. I guess this just goes to show your passion can literally take you anywhere. Right, Kaidyn? A few weeks later, I was on my way to Cincinnati to deliver the shoes to Aroldis in person. When I got there, he brought me down onto the field and into the dugout and introduced me to the entire team. These professional athletes were treating me like I was the celebrity. Not only that, Aroldis ended up wearing the shoes during the game. And that is when Nike took notice. Shortly afterwards, some amazing people at Nike reached out to me and asked me to come and visit them at their world headquarters in Oregon to meet with them for a few days. Well, I ended up leaving my job with the youth, and I ended up pursuing a new career in custom designing sneakers full time. I created ZV Customs. I took my passion for art and I started to create these unique and personalized sneakers for people. Now, like any startup business, I had my ups and my downs. I remember there was times I was so busy with orders that the chirping of the birds in the morning was my sign that I needed to go to bed because I was up all night working on shoes. Well, at other times, I remember walking down to McDonald's to buy their $5 McPix meal because that is literally the only thing my budget would allow me to afford. Now, you see, if I was smart like Kaidyn, I would have started my passion back when my parents were still buying my food for me. Nevertheless, it worked out great. I started designing sneakers, and I took my business, and I dedicated myself to it. I wanted to make sure that ZV Customs was going to be a success. And in life, there is no shortcuts. I ended up working my butt off. But my hard work, it paid off. I've now had the opportunity to work with some of the biggest names in entertainment and in sports. The likes of Def Leppard, Drake, Logic, Corey Taylor, Todd Frazier, and DeMar DeRozan. But to be honest with you, my greatest achievement through ZV Customs has not been the celebrity friends that I've acquired, but rather the self-care that I've been able to bring into my own life through my craft, my passion. That little piece of my life is just about perfect. Painting has become my zen. I love to paint in the evening time when the world becomes quiet, the streets become silent, and my phone finally stops buzzing. It gives me that time to think, to form ideas, to analyze, and to reflect on life. I get such a great sense of accomplishment and achievement when I finish a project and I get to share it with the entire world. But nevertheless, I will never forget that one day, the sneaker culture, and those students that convinced me to follow my passion. And it's funny, in life, sometimes things keep coming, or they go full circle. Nowadays, you can find me right around the corner from here. I'm a teacher at Journey Middle School. And on Thursday afternoons, I get to teach my own course. I call it Fresh Souls. I teach the students how to restore their shoes, clean their shoes, and customize their own shoes. I absolutely love sharing my passion with the students. That is, of course, when I'm not making custom shoes for the likes of these guys. Thank you.
That'll put some sparkle in your shoe closet, right? Speaking of sparkles, passionate people, how about that, are highly excitable. What is it about them? Kind of makes you wonder how their brains are wired, right? They're always running around consciously following their curiosity. What do you say? We let our next speaker teach us a few tricks about how to stream some of those sparkles into our lives. Please welcome to the stage, Melody.
Awesome. Thank you, Tania. Wow, we have been delighted and inspired by our first two speakers. I have really been moved by their creativity and passion. And now I'm hoping that my creativity and passion is going to get you moving in a different, sparkly direction. So I want you to just notice yourself relaxing in your cushy EMCS chairs, hands on your laps. And I'm going to get you to all pat your thighs along with me. And we're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Count along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, for those of you who are musically inclined, this is like riding a bicycle, which means it's easy. And I want to make our brains sparkle. So we're going to change the counting. Are you ready? Follow when you get it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. You guys got it. Awesome. We're getting a bit of that tingle happening. But I'm going to turn up our sparkle dials just a little bit higher. We're going to keep the 4, 3, 2, 1 pattern. But now, every time we say the number 1, our neurons are going to go up and fire, sparkling. So it's going to look like this. Join me. here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Whew. You're getting the sparkle now, right? By doing simple movements, counting, a pattern, we are stimulating multiple parts of the brain. We're stimulating our auditory, our rhythm, our movement, our sensory, our problem solving, and our visual. Our brain is lighting up like a Christmas tree. And what's important about getting your brain to light up is that when we stimulate different areas, we are encouraging new neural pathways to start to form. This is really important because, everybody, put one hand up, down. That is a neural pathway that goes straight through the forest. It's well-worn, and there's not a whole lot of sparkle that happens. It's kind of like the Sooke Highway to Langford. We want to get a little bit more sparkle happening. That means bringing in a few different types of stimulus into the brain. Now, it's important to start this process from the right state of mind. Chilling in our comfy EMCS theater schools, enjoying the ambience. We want to be in that place that says, oh yeah. We do not want to be in the place that says, oh no, is the highway closed? Oh no, am I going to be late? What's happened? Oh, it could be an accident. Oh no, what if? No. We want to be, oh yeah. And to that, oh yeah, we want to add just a little bit of stimulus. We want to take that, oh yeah, state of mind, and we want to bring in a little bit anticipation that something good could happen. It's like the dog who's been sitting at home all day and he's been waiting, and then he hears the leash rattle by the door. Arr! Anticipation that something good's going to happen. I call that the Curious George state of mind. Relaxed, receptive, and responsive. Ready to respond to stimulus. This is wisdom from our childhood, and something I expect Kaidyn is a master at. So what I'm hoping to do now is to invite you all to bring in your Curious Kaidyn, Curious George state of mind as we try another interesting little sparkle activity. I'm going to divide you into two groups. Group 1 is everybody who has their birthday in January, February, March, April, May, June. That's it, June. Yes? Team 1? We're going to do the same rhythm that we started with. 4, 3, 2, 1. Neurons sparkling on 1. Let's give it a little practice. We'll do it a couple times through. The rest of you can just pat your thighs to keep our rhythm. Okay, team 1, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Ah, sweet. Okay, group B. We're dialing up the sparkles a little bit for this one. We're keeping the same rhythm. 4, 3, 2, 1. But your neurons are going to sparkle on the last number, on the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1. Okay, so all those babies born in July, August, September, October, November, December, ready? Group 1, if you could please keep rhythm for us, count, because this could be a little more sparkle happening. Okay, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Whew. Okay, you're getting the sparkles happening. So for those of you who may have had the sparkles overwhelm the system, I call that brain blank. That's when suddenly you're standing in the pathway and you don't know which way you're going. That is the moment to come back to your Curious George state of mind. Relaxed, receptive, responsive. There is no way to get this right. The important thing about brain sparkle is simply enter into trying to do it, challenging that brain just a little bit, stimulating all those areas. So if you notice one of those brain blank moments coming, just go back to the thigh patter counter. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to split myself in half. Group 1, this is your hand. Our neurons fire on 1. Group 2, this is your hand. Our neurons fire on 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm hoping to see the Sooke Talks collective brain sparkle. Group 3, you are our patter counter thigh thumper patter counters. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Way to go. The collective Sooke Talks brain is definitely sparkling. Thank you all for letting me play with your brains. And I hope you are all hungry for our next speaker, who has some nourishing thoughts to share with you. Thank you.
Now that's exactly why passionate people shine just a little bit brighter. Because when the rooster crows, their mind starts sparkling right away with excitement and new ideas. They understand the connection between the mind and the body and what it takes to fuel that passionate drive. The mind and the body need nourishment. They are fueled by food. And there is no better expert than our next speaker on exactly what it takes to fuel that. Please welcome to the stage, Frederique.
Well, today is a special day, and I had to take my notes. Something happened this morning, and my brain, I don't know, is not sparkling very well. My passion, one of my passions, is food. Because food is a weapon. And when I say weapon, you will really think, whoa, wars, killing. Well, food is dangerous, but also a defense. It's a double-edged sword, and depending on which side of the sword you are going to sharpen, you actually can defend yourself, or you can be in danger of maybe not killing yourself, but having somebody else kill yourself. Let me explain, because we all know that food is essential for us to live. If we don't eat, we die. There is no other option. But we have to find out what is exactly food, what is good food for us to actually be nourished. And that's where we need to understand, are we overstuffed and undernourished? Can we lead a really full life, full of energy, and have our passions if we eat the proper food? I think yes. But maybe, because it is a weapon that other people can use against us, we may be actually eating food that is overstuffing us and where we are still undernourished. You know that I come from France, which makes things slightly different. I was also, the food culture in France didn't have all the fast food, the junk food that I'm sorry to say you have here. So I never thought of food. I enjoyed food, but I was lucky to actually eat good food. And what do we call good food? Comfort food. We always have termed bad food, yucky food. I always remember my daughter Nishka. We tried to have her eat seafood that she always called yucky food. And she decided to be a vegetarian, so she would not have to eat that yucky food, but she loved bacon. So I moved to Canada in 1979 and discovered that maybe the way you look at food and the way you relate to food, the way you use food, is different than the way I was used to do. I remember my first experience going grocery shopping in grocery stores and being in front of the aisle of salad dressing. Strange. People buy salad dressing here? Because in my home, we had salad every day, because that's something that we did, and we prepared the salad dressing that day. It's very simple. And I couldn't believe that people will buy salad dressing. That was the first experience. I thought, well, maybe something is different here. Telling you this morning made me really have my brain not scrambled, so I have to have notes. So we moved to Sooke, a seaside town, in 1979, close to the ocean, in a rural area, and I thought, fantastic, I'm going to be able to have a lot of seafood. Not possible, and we didn't have a boat. When you think that and it's still now the same, the seafood section is 1/10 of the cat and food. I thought, okay, great, I'm moving, I'm going to have a farmer's market. No farmer's market? Not even farmers that I could go and visit and buy food from them. So I decided, well, things are different here. I guess I had a romanticized idea about fast food, and I never thought that it actually would be detrimental to your health. Because what is good food? For me, it was food that is nourishment, that has nutrients, that is for your body, not just for your muscles and your bones, but for everything that is going to make you have good eyesight, have shiny hair, and be energetic, and make you think properly. Because we always seem to forget that our brain actually needs nourishment, not just our bones and muscles, but it's essential that we actually nourish our brains properly. I always thought, and I was in this school, all my children came here, and I was always astonished by teenagers taking a good care of their car when they finally had a car, the octane in the gas, and the change of oil, and even making it look nice on the outside. But usually they really put really junk food in their body. So they expected their car to work really well. So one day I told a group of teenagers, I said, I see how you eat. Why don't you just put water in your tank, in your car? It may work as well as, and you will spend less money. And they all looked at me like, well, if we put water, the car won't work. Well, what do you put in your body? Why do you expect your body to actually be energetic and make you able to follow your passions? Be energetic, be full of life, be happy, if you actually do not put anything with nutrients in your body. Very early, when I was in Sooke, there was a workshop that was organized by a very well-known psychiatrist, Abraham Hoffer, that came to Sooke to talk about nutrition. He's a well-known psychiatrist that tried to help schizophrenic with giving them high doses of vitamins, minerals, which are nutrients that are in your food. And I was really surprised to hear this very well-known doctors say, when you buy a box of cereal to give to your children, make them eat the box and get rid of the content. And I thought, okay. And I think that's true. If you think of the food that you find everywhere, because of in a way, the fast food culture that you have here, the nutrients are not in your food. So you eat most of the time, and you are overstuffed and undernourished. You eat, for example, meat from cows that are fed grain, which is totally a bad thing for cows. They are undernourished. And you eat that meat that is actually bad for you. I think in North America, you have been, and now that I'm here, I have been fooled and conned in believing that taking care of food, that food is not important. You should do everything fast, don't spend time cooking, don't spend time, shopping or trying to find good food. Just go and buy processed food, fast food, that they think is cheap. Well, if you think that large fries, I don't know how much it is now at McDonald's, but it's not even a potato, and it's $3, that makes the kilo of potatoes almost as expensive as caviar. So we have been fooled there. Fast food is not cheap. So we believe that spending time with food is not important. We should spend time on other things, entertainment, all the other things in life, but not on food, which is incredible, because when you think, if we don't eat food with nutrients, we may not die, because to do that you have to really starve yourself. You may be eating, but you are slowly dying. And slowly, your brain does not work. If we eat food that has not been cared for by farmers, they are my heroes, I have to say, because they work really hard and don't get paid very well. So if we don't eat food that has been cared for, that has been raised with care, with love, we eat dead food. And I have experienced, and it's not because I'm New Age or something, I have experienced eating dead food. I was, a few years ago, in a restaurant, a beautiful restaurant in California. It was for a workshop that we were doing on food and restaurants. The decor was fantastic. The food was not spoiled. It didn't smell bad. It looked okay. And I was eating, and suddenly I realized I am eating dead food. What was it? The chef maybe was in a bad mood, didn't care when he was cooking. The farmers, maybe it was not the farmers that brought the food, it was dead food. And I know that my feeling was correct, because the next day we went to another restaurant, part of that workshop, and I realized that food was alive. That food was good for me. That food made me feel good. And food is not just, as I said before, not just good for your bone and muscles. It's good to make you happy, to make you energetic, to make you be able to fulfill your life with passion. I maybe wish I had discovered that, because for me, food was joy all the time when I was in France. Joy to sit down, to have conversation, to really take the time to eat. I don't understand here that you eat in your car, that you have a coffee, I don't know how many times a day, and that you don't pay attention to how that food was raised and grown. That we have really been fooled by big companies that are using the food as a weapon against us. And if we want to be people making correct choices, good decisions, we have to nourish our brain. Otherwise, we may be, and I'm going to say something that may surprise some people, especially if they are Americans, I think they have eaten too many bad meals and bad food, and their brain is mush. So I want you all to really request from your shopping centers, from your politicians, that we actually take care of our food, because that's the only thing that can make us energetic and good thinkers. And food is a weapon, and we need to know how to use it.
Passions can create opportunities in your life, can open doors for you to be able to talk about that burning idea that you've had, or stand up and be the voice for a cause that doesn't have one, or teach somebody something that you've learned that can help change their lives. To be honest with you, anyone who's ever taken a shower has come up with a brilliant idea to share with the world. So while we are on our break, having some good food with some good friends and a few good laughs, take a minute to start thinking about what you might want to share with the world, because the spring Sooke Talks is not that far away. Remember to listen for Tracy's Tibetan singing bowl to bring you back to your seat after the break for the second half of our very passionate Sooke Talks. Enjoy your break. Passionate people aren't just luckier, happier, healthier people in life. They also share some other characteristics, like they're risk takers. And taking risks can be scary. Passionate people often have to make uncomfortable decisions, like saying goodbye to old parts of their life and challenging themselves with doing something new. They work hard, they trust their intuition, and they persevere even through the darkness. Welcome to the stage, Janet.
Have you ever felt alone, lost in the wilderness, bewildered, disoriented? The wilderness is a messy place. It's unkept. It's chaotic. It's a place of solitude. It's a place of searching. It's as dangerous as it is breathtaking. It is as sought after as it is feared. It is the bravest place and the most sacred place will stand. The wilderness often comes with an ending of some kind, of a loss. Could be a loss of a career as we retire. Could be loss of a relationship. Could be the beginning of a relationship. It could be from a move. But it's leaving a place that's familiar, comfortable, and then all of a sudden, we're in a place that is chaotic, disorganized, we don't know where we are, unfamiliar. It's kind of shaky ground. And it requires a lot of courage to be there. And it requires, if we want to learn what we can from the wilderness, we have to kind of lean into it. We have to really befriend it. And if we spend enough time in that place befriending what it has to teach us in this place of initiation, then we begin a new place. And we come into this new place with some of the strengths and resources and gifts that we have from this place that we've had the courage to manage the discomfort. One wilderness, not too long ago, a few years ago, was when my sister and I were both diagnosed with breast cancer. And the ending was the assumption of my wellness. I was fit, was healthy, and then all of a sudden it was, oh, it's true. Life is impermanence. I am a mortal being and my beloved sister. So we had this, I was in this place of not knowing where this was going to take us in this ride. There was all the tests, the medical exams, the surgeries for her, chemo, radiation, and we came through and we're both super healthy and we're absolutely fine. But after the physical wellness, I realized that I had a different kind of healing to go through. It was the disorientation of the assumptions I had about my life everything was different. I didn't have a roadmap in terms of how to go forward. So what I did do was I went into a solitude for a few months. It was a kind of a radical act of kindness to myself, to really take my needs seriously, to kind of stitch myself back together, to see what I could learn from this experience of threatened mortality. And I was gifted with a beautiful cottage on the sea, a cottage with no Wi-Fi, no phone. I took my paints, I took my journal, took my walking sticks, and I just went into reflection and quietude. I'd have long walks under the full moon at night. I would sing with a chorus of frogs in the evening. I would sit and watch a grass move from the wind. I would watch an apple ripening. And in that solitude and searching, I really sort of came back into my spiritual nature and back home to myself, and came through that with a much greater sense of how to move forward into this world. it wasn't so important how long I lived. That wasn't the issue. It was how to be here now for the time I have. And that was the value. Now, tonight I'm just going to tell you a story. This harks back to my old daycare days of teaching. And it's a story of a Russian myth of Baba Yaga and Vasilisa the Brave, and what Vasilisa brings home from her visit into the wilderness. So get comfortable, settle in. Once upon a time, Vasilisa the Brave lived in a little cottage in the woods. And she lived in a cottage in the woods with a very wicked and mean stepmother and stepsister. They were very unkind to her. Vasilisa, go sweep the floor. Vasilisa, go sleep in the corner away from the fire. Now, perhaps they didn't like Vasilisa because she was so kind and sweet, uncomplaining, pretty. So they conspired to get rid of her. And what they decided to do is to let the fire go out. So Vasilisa would have to go into the forest to Baba Yaga, the witch, who eats people. So they had the fire go out. Vasilisa came in from being in the woods, and she could see there was no smoke coming out of the chimney. Oh no, there is no smoke. There is no fire. My people will be cold. So she gets to the cottage. Obviously, there is no fire. You stupid girl, you will have to go out to Baba Yaga and bring the fire back, because I am too old and your sisters are too afraid. So Vasilisa begins to make her way through the forest. It's getting darker and darker and more frightening. But Vasilisa leans deep into her pocket and touches her small doll. Now, this small doll was given to her by her real mother before she died, telling her that if she was ever in trouble, she would be able to trust this doll to guide her through her troubles. So Vasilisa is making her way, and she would consult with the doll. Should I go right? Should I go left? Should I stop? And the doll would advise her. And as she's making her way, she can see the glow in the forest that might be Baba Yaga's hut. Meanwhile, Baba Yaga, deep in the forest, she is a fearsome creature. She has a long, crooked nose that reaches right down to her pointed chin. She has these pointed, thick fingernails. She has long, gray, scraggly hair. And she travels about in this big cauldron with a broom that she wipes away her tracks. And even more peculiar, she lives in a hut with big chicken legs that can walk and twirl around. And around her compound is all these spinal columns of all the dead people that she's eaten. And there's these little pickets in the fence, and on top of them is a skull with fire coming out of its ears, nose, eyes, and mouth. Vasilisa's back in the forest, and suddenly Baba Yaga is in her cauldron right in front of her. Wow, what do you want? I want fire. I need fire. My people are cold. We cannot cook. Well, you useless child. It is a terrible thing to let your fire go out. What makes you think I'm going to give you your fire? Vasilisa consults with her doll. Because I ask. Oh. Well, you are lucky because that is the right answer. And Vasilisa thinks, I don't know how I did that. So Baba Yaga goes off. She comes back with her stick and the skull and the fire. Vasilisa is making her way back through the forest, and The stepmother and the stepsisters are looking out, and all they can see is this disembodied, fiery skull coming out of its fire coming out its ears, nose, eyes, and mouth coming towards them, and they drop into a dead faint. Vasilisa makes her way closer to the cottage. She's just about there. She's so excited because she's bringing back her fire. She gets there. The skull jumps off the stick and burns them to cinders. Vasilisa gets her broom and she sweeps the ashes into the fireplace. And it is said that Vasilisa can be seen flying across the horizon, a wild, happy, joyful woman with a brave heart. So, I love this story. I love this story because so much about our endings, what we leave behind, sometimes they're limiting beliefs. Vasilisa had a lot of beliefs about herself. She was kind of domesticated. She was pretty compliant. Other people's needs or expectations of her were more important than her own. So she went through this kind of an ending into this wilderness where she was completely alone, completely having to navigate a very fearful place on her own, fearful of being eaten alive. But Baba Yaga, she found her voice. She figured out what she wanted, and she learned to ask. She went for her fire, passions. She knew she had to have her passions to navigate her life. She found her voice, she found her fire, she found that she could walk into what she was afraid of. She could lean into it. And probably most important, she found that she could trust her intuition, that would truly guide her. And so she learned to really, in fact, sort of trust herself. So that's the sort of a new beginning and a transformation of Vasilisa that she came through with a much greater sense of connection to herself, a sense of belonging to herself. And she went from a little girl with these limiting beliefs to a woman who could own her own story. And so I think I had a similar experience of going through cancer with my sister, and that it, particularly in my time in solitude, is I came to recognize that just the interconnectedness of all life, that even my life, my story is pretty small. It's not really about me, but we're all part of something so much bigger. But we all need to find our voice, our intuition, and our fire to guide us home to ourselves. So I hope this talk tonight helps you, if you have the opportunity to be in your own wilderness, that you will find a guide on your way through it. Thanks.
Life lessons can be long, but passionate people savor the journey. When you're living a passionate life, it's not about reaching a destination or a certain outcome. It's about enjoying every minute of the wild ride while you are constantly growing and changing and getting to know the new you. Sometimes the road our journey's on is not always exactly paved with what you expect. Please welcome to the stage, Quinn.
The year was 1982. And a 20-year-old boy packed his bags full of camping gear on a lawn in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He was about to take off on a bicycle ride that would end up spanning the next 3 summers, over 10,000 miles. Throughout his time, he would spend a collective year in his tent while making his way around North America. And throughout his time, discover for himself the value of travel. This man was my father, and growing up hearing stories of his adventures on 2 wheels, I knew that one day I would set out to do the same. This past summer I did. I rode not to conquer Canada, but to see it. To see the diverse peoples, cultures, and landscapes from coast to coast. I rode to connect to my history in Winnipeg and in Montreal, and to see our country, to see what was out there and to see what was inside. I rode to understand how one's identity is formed not only through our own eyes, but those of others. To understand how we can learn to value perspectives different from our own. And to understand how we can look at ourselves a little bit more honestly through introspection. I've always found cliches to be a funny thing. They're often overlooked because of their popularity and overuse, but really, many of them hold merit. I'm sure everyone in here has heard someone say that they found themselves while traveling. But what does that really mean? And if you found yourself, does that mean you were lost in the first place? There are many great things about living in a community, especially one like Sooke. There's the familiarity, the access to resources, the comfort, and of course, there's the people. It's nice to be known, and it's nice to know people. So why must we sometimes leave these places in order to find ourselves? In places we're known, it's sometimes difficult to find space and significant time to reflect. As we spend time with people, they grow accustomed to who we are, or better yet, their ideas of who we are. Whether through impressions, interpretation, or maybe even rumors, we often put each other into simplified boxes to make each other easier to understand. We don't always see each other for who we are at that moment, but rather with all the context and baggage that has been acquired over the length of the relationship. Sometimes this can lead to a way better understanding of someone, and others an idea that's unwilling to change. Once this has been done, it's often hard to break out of the mold that people have put us into. Over time, it's possible to become separated from ourselves and begin to believe we are who they think us to be. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing an image trapped in time. An image that doesn't allow for growth and personal development from one's ongoing life experiences. Taking time away and interacting with those who don't know us can allow us to reflect on who we are at that very moment. We see who we are when we push what is comfortable. Many of us have predicted our reactions to any number of events. But how do we know what we would do? How do we know who we are? I met a part of myself on Highway 501 in southern Alberta. And I can't say I regret it now, but then was a different story. Everyone had warned me the Rockies, but I had my mind on the prairies. My partner and I wanted something real. We thought that a few hundred kilometers on a gravel road could be good for the soul. The night before we started onto this road, my friend found out that his girlfriend was seeing another guy. The morning of, I found myself retching into the prairie grass. It could have been the sun or maybe the water, but probably the dumpster diving. We were a broken pair. We'd spend the next few days slogging through ankle-deep gravel with 35-degree weather and 100-pound bikes. We ran out of patience. And water. In the Rockies, we'd scream salutes to the wind, but in the prairies, you get the idea. By the time we reached pavement, we each rode alone, as we would for the remainder of the trip. I was a shell of the person that I thought myself to be. I'd found my mirror. When we allow ourselves space, we can grow at a rate that's difficult when in the safety of our homes and communities. We can gain a better understanding of where the divergence between our ideals, expectations, and realities lie. Through travel, we have the opportunity to not only learn about the personas created for ourselves, but the ones we create for others. Much of our ideals, biases, and opinions, and overall character revolve around the environments that we have been influenced by. To travel is to gain a better perspective on the environments of others. In taking a step outside of our own reference groups, we can begin to understand those we sometimes fault for differing views. We can learn to value other people by understanding them. We can begin taking people out of the boxes that we've put them into. I'd taken shelter in a baseball park bathroom in Kipling, Saskatchewan, while a thunderstorm released 40 inches of rain overnight. 40 inches. When I woke up the next morning, I decided to ride all night. It was the only time I would do that on my trip. I always thought it was a dangerous thing, but I really wanted to make up for lost time. There was a warm bed waiting for me in Winnipeg, and it was only a day's ride away. As it got dark, a van pulled up next to me, and the couple inside motioned for me to remove my headphones. Once I had, the man looked at me and asked if I had a place to stay. They didn't look like they'd kill me. And it sounded like a good start to a story. So I went with them and spent the night, and much of the next day. It was Sunday after all, and there was no question that I was going to church for this family. We were very different people, and it was known by both parties at first glance. To them, I stood as a long-haired traveler with torn clothes and no job, and they to me in their Sunday best. A Christian family with conservative evangelical views that were so very different from me or mine, at least I thought. It was clear we had preconceived ideas about each other, but after some time, we were able to look past the differences. We shared many of the same ideals, but simply came at them from different angles. If our first impressions had dissuaded us from speaking, we'd have never known. We would have remained in each other's boxes. In a world as diverse and increasingly interconnected as ours, it's more important than ever to not be afraid of the other, but rather to search for our shared humanity. I grew up, growing up, my parents had a shelf full of National Geographic magazines, and I could not escape that yellow box. I grew up clinging to stories of great expeditions and explorers. And I wanted nothing more than to see these far-off places and cultures that seem so far away. I wanted to learn through experience about the world and about myself. I thought in order to learn from different people, I'd have to venture to far-off lands. But little did I know how much you can learn from the people one province, town, or even seat over from you. I'll admit, I was hesitant to come and speak to you all night. Not only did the thought of speaking in front of such a large group scare me, as it does right now, I was worried that it might not be relatable for some of you. And that's because you may not like biking. And you may leave here feeling like the experience I had is out of your reach. But it's not about the size, length, or difficulty of the trip. It's the act of doing one at all. It doesn't have to be a bike trip, and it doesn't have to be several months long. It's simply about stepping outside of your comfort zone, being willing to take risks, listening to the strangers you meet along the way, and listening to yourself. You may be surprised at what you hear. You may be surprised at what you see. As cliche as it may sound, anyone can learn from the world. It's just a matter of starting. Thank you.
There are many roads we can travel throughout our journey in life, but there is one road that we all have to travel. We must travel if you want to be in Sooke. Whether you're coming or going, whether you are leaving, living, or visiting, at some point, you are going to have to travel a certain portion of Highway 14. No doubt. Now, if you ask me, a road that is 103 kilometers long and 65 years old deserves to have a song of its own. Yes? Perfect. Welcome Gord to the stage.
"103 kilometers. I didn't know that. How's everybody doing tonight? Excellent. So with all these beautiful, inspirational people, how do you feel so far? You guys gonna go home and do things a little different? Maybe the same, just add a little bit more passion to it? Then I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to be able to, I asked him if I could sit here, by the way. I wanted to sit down there, but I know there's a camera, so I want it to all work. And passion, I was trying to think, when I was asked to do this, what my passion was. And they asked me to sing because that's what I do. But I was nervous the first time I showed up for rehearsal. I didn't come to the first one because I was really nervous. Now you guys know that. So truth, there's a lot of truth and passion as well. And I had an epiphany sitting there listening to Janet. And I was like, what is my passion? And listening to Quinn as well. And when I'm on stage and I'm playing, and we get off stage and we take a break, the band always goes and always play with people that are better than you, with whatever you do, because it's the best thing you could ever do. But my problem is that every time we'd take a break and we would sit down and talk, they would talk gear, and I don't know anything about gear. They would talk about all these intelligent, amazing things, and I'm not there either. I'm a spiritual person. So where's my passion? I would always say my passion is in the performance. My passion is in connecting with the crowd. I always like to say that tonight will never happen again, right? So we just need to be right here, right now. And this is my passion. My passion is the Sooke Highway, the song that I wrote. I wrote it because I had just moved to a community, and Quinn talks about going across Canada. I hitchhiked across Canada, and there was another epiphany that happened when I was on the ferry when I arrived, and my backpack broke. So I couldn't go anywhere else. I've been here for 26 years. I moved out to Sooke 14 years ago. And I found snow 7 years ago in Sooke. I'm not telling everybody where it is because it's kind of a secret. And in Sooke, there's some things that we like to keep secret. But you'll find it one day. You can follow the little Previa van up a logging road, and you can join me one day. But my passion is community, it's music, and it's inclusion. I'm a bus driver for the Sooke School District. We got onto Wi-Fi today because I work here, and the sound guys were like, well, I don't know, I don't have a password. I'm like, I do. So there's connection. And I love this place. And I love the passion that Sooke has alone and the people in Sooke. I have no reason to leave Sooke at all. I try to coax my parents daily that live in Ontario to please come out. But we all get set in our ways, and that's okay. But one thing I've realized about living far away from your home, the place that you're from, is that you can have a family anywhere. And I try to let my kids know that too. Is that yes, you do have family, and yes, there's DNA, but there's so many connections with the people, for me, in Sooke that have given me an avenue, a place for my passion to flourish, that I can just enjoy these things as a bus driver, singing with the kids on the bus, just seeing the same faces that come out to my shows, just to connect with a new crowd, a new person specifically, or just as a whole. It's amazing. So I just wanted to take time to sit and say thank you. Thank you to the speakers tonight for showing their passion. Journey is a beautiful, better place because I get to hear all the kids brag about this one teacher. He's so cool. He decorates shoes all the time. So I get a lot of the intel. So we have a lot of passion in Sooke, and it's great that we get to hear and see some of it tonight, and we're obviously going to get more with Sooke Talks 3. So I'm going to continue on the Sooke Highway. So Quinn, did you do the Sooke Highway? You've been across Canada, but have you been all the way up to Port Renfrew? All right. On a bike? Okay, that's good. And how'd you like it? Pretty good. We're going to try something tonight. So I think this is the right crowd for this. I should get a pretty solid response. Does anybody know who Pete Seeger was? Woo! That's so nice. I was talking with a friend of mine, and you know, jokes as you get older, they're not jokes. They're just things people don't understand. So this song, the Sooke Highway, I told you I moved here 14 years ago. We worked it out. I've learned a lot about the song I wrote tonight, actually, some of the actual facts. Janet made it very clear that I was wrong on how long ago the storms happened. And I think we agreed it was 12 years, didn't we? That's right. So if anybody was here 12 years ago, was anybody here 12 years ago? Does anybody remember the storms that we had? Oh, you were on West Coast Road? Because that's part of my bit. Tree on the roof. I saw 3 houses with trees on their roofs. So this storm pretty much shut down Sooke. There was signs by the tire shop, just past the tire shop, and it said, "Hydro, please help." Cardboard signs with magic marker. We knew something was wrong there. And if anybody noticed that, what was it, about maybe 9 years ago, all the houses by West Coast Tire went up for sale. We should have told those people buying the houses, watch out. Because I remember seeing vehicles that were completely covered. Not just a little bit, but completely covered. And you see West Coast Tire, they have this big, huge embankment built. Maybe some people don't know it, but they built that road up about 20 feet. It was amazing. Those storms, they came in, there was 160 an hour sustained winds. I lived on West Coast Road at the time, and the trees that were 200 years old were being pushed for 30, 45 seconds. It was amazing. It rained constantly. We had ice storms, and it snowed. It just didn't stop. We had 30 trees down on our property. It was amazing. So I went to leave for work. I slid down my driveway slowly onto West Coast Road, hoped that I didn't go into the ocean. And I turned left to go into town, and I couldn't because it was blocked with trees. So I was like, this is great. Because when you live in Sooke, people say, I get depressed in the wintertime because it's so gray. Wintertime is amazing in Sooke. The West Coast winters are awesome. I was very happy. I went back up, I loaded up my van, and I headed out to go surfing. And I drove down the road going right, and I couldn't go anywhere because there was trees down. So I drove back up my driveway. I sat and I looked out at the ocean. I looked at those trees being pushed by the storms. I thought about the road and how important it is to Sooke, Victoria, the whole community. It's very important. If that road closes down, nothing's happening. So I looked at it and I thought of all the things that happened for me on that road, going to Sombrio Beach with my friends, seeing the Oak family that used to live there. People actually lived in Sombrio, raised kids, raised full families. There was goats and chickens all over the place. And my friends had lived here, so they took me up there and they let me see these things. And the passion that these people had just to live, it was amazing. So I had to write a song. I want you guys to sing it with me tonight. So I said Pete Seeger. So I brought my friend Call and Answer this evening. You guys know Call and Answer? He's a good friend of mine. So what we're going to do, for the first half of the song, I'm going to say a line, and you're going to just say it back to me. So I'm going to call, and you're going to answer. Get it? Call and answer? That's my friend. And then we're going to take a little break down, and we're going to do another part at the end. We're going to see how this works, because I'm sure I'm going to go over time if I try to do anything else. We're going to start this right now. This is called the Sooke Highway. When the rain is done and the wind is gone. When the storm has left, moved to Hong Kong. When the road is clear of all those trees. All you feel is a summer breeze. On the Sooke Highway. On the Sooke Highway. Yeah, yeah. When you rally car through those twists and turns. Like a stock driver first who's losing his turn. On your way up the coast on 2 or 4 wheels. It's a rush at least, stop at Shakey's for a meal. Anybody remember Shakey's? You guys remember those big surfer balls? Those are amazing. I'm pretty sure they were completely raw cookie dough. On the Sooke Highway. Highway, yeah, yeah. On that Sooke Highway, you can get what you want. You can find yourself wasted on just a little more. And I've seen flowers bloom and I'm watching them die. Asking the question, how many times will the road make people ask why? People ask why. On the Sooke Highway, on the Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. Here's our little breakdown. Can you start clapping? That's right. Keep that up. Here we go. Now it's your turn. You're going to play for me. So now what we're going to do, we're going to split us in half. Maybe we'll stick to that birthday thing. So the birthday thing, let's do that. So the first birthdays are going to go 1, 2, 3. On the Sooke Highway, on the Sooke Highway, on the Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. Can you do that? On the Sooke Highway, on the Sooke Highway, on the Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. Okay, now the other birthdays. Now you guys keep that going, ready? On the Sooke Highway, on the Sooke Highway. I want to hear it louder. On the Sooke Highway, that's better. Yeah, yeah, and go. Going down, going down. Going down, going down. Going down. Can you do that? Going down. Going down. Keep it going. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. On that Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. You can keep going. On that Sooke Highway. You can get what you want. You can take it on down that way. How'd that feel? You guys doing all right? Okay, we're gonna take a little break here and stop. Wise men come from the north, naive ones from the south. All come here for the same reason, try to just figure it out. Figure it out. Figure it out. Keep clapping. Figure it out. On that Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. On that Sooke Highway. You can get what you want. You can take it on down that way. Yeah, yeah, on that Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. On that Sooke Highway. You can get what you want. You can take it on down that way. That way, that sounds great. Down that Sooke Highway. Last stop for Renfrew. Maybe Ferry Lake. Maybe sneak on up to Shawnigan. But somebody told me I was wrong. It's actually sneak up to Cowichan. But I can't change the words now. But we're gonna turn around. We're gonna head back. We're gonna head back on the Sooke Highway. Go down Gillespie on a snowy road in our beautiful sleigh. Because that day's coming. And I see a hat behind me. You guys know what day that is? What day is it? It's Christmas. On that Sooke Highway, yeah, yeah. On that Sooke Highway. You can get what you want. You can take it on down that way. You guys are awesome. You're in the band. Here we go. So that's passion. Us together. Thank you, Sooke.
Like I said, what a great place we live. No matter where you look, there's talent and skill and sparkle. No matter which direction you look, there's always something fantastic to see. The stars in the north, the sun in the south, the water in the west, and in the east, there's magic. When you look over there in East Sooke, something starts sparkling. Something starts happening. And you just never know who you might find sliding down Gillespie on a sleigh, heading towards the Sooke Highway. Thank you. Please put your hands together and welcome Layton.
You know, I believe in the magic of Santa. Do you?
Absolutely, I believe in Santa.
I'm so glad to hear that. You know, but not everybody does. And you know what? I think the world would be much better off if everyone could believe in the magic of Santa. But you know what? I have to admit to you, sometimes I've fallen off the sleigh, so to speak, and sort of forgotten about the magic of Santa until I was taught a lesson. It started in August a few years ago. I received a letter. I looked at it, and the postal code looked familiar to me from when I was younger, and it was ho, ho, ho. Huh. So I looked at it and it said, "Dear Layton, you've been designated to be my Santa substitute this year and every other year until you remember." It goes on to say that your acceptance letter has already been received. Warm regards, Santa. Huh. Until I remembered, had he caught me one time when I didn't believe in him? My acceptance letter is already being received. Am I out of retirement? Do I have a job now? Well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I guess what I'm going to do, not thinking too much more of the letter, I'm going to go down Gillespie, the Sooke Highway, to my favorite cafe and have a sweet treat as a reward for the exercising I've been doing. I go there and I sit down. I'm about to take the first bite, and Susan, the owner, comes over and sits down and says, "Would you like to be Santa at my cafe this December?" I feel this letter all of a sudden warming up in my hand. And then all of a sudden I hear, "Whoa, ho, ho, why, yes!" Where did that come from? That sounded like Santa. What has he done to me? He just sent me a letter. So I guess I'm into it. So a little while later, here I am in the same cafe. I'm all of a sudden dressed in red. I'm looking out from under a red hat with all this fake hair all around me. Here I am. So I guess I better practice. So I go, "Oh, ho, ho!" That sounds pretty neat. Maybe go try it again. I need more practice. "Oh, ho, ho!" Hey, I like that. So I'm just going to sit down and see what the afternoon brings for me. There's a couple little girls. They're whispering back and forth to each other, but I can hear them clear as a sleigh bell. He's real. He's not real. He's real. He's not real. That fat man over there is not real. Come, girls, come and see me. And they bound over. The one that doubted me, she looked busted. But she ran as fast as the other one did. And they were both on my knees. And they were telling me so much stories about how school was going, what they wanted for Christmas, what they wanted. And it was just so great. And I gave them a candy cane and they were off. And I hoped that I'd save that one little girl for just a little bit more. Shortly after that, there was a lad standing beside me in tailored pants, pressed white shirt, just a marvelous red tie. "What's your name?" "Tommy." "Tommy, would you like to sit on my knee?" "No." "Tommy, would you like to tell me what you want for Christmas?" "No." "Tommy, would you like a cookie?" "No." "Tommy, would you like a picture taken with Santa?" "Yes." And the picture was great. And Tommy touched me from the point of view he had such a focus and such a drive. And it reminded me of when I was younger that I believed in my dreams, I believed in the opportunities that laid ahead, and I believed in the magic and the man in the red suit. There was a commotion that came up, and I looked over here. And this little boy turned out to be Mikey. Come on, Mom. I got to see my friends. They're over here. Santa! I couldn't believe it. He just froze. I looked over at him. Our eyes locked. And he came over to me. He bounded. He jumped onto my lap. And he was talking, telling me all these great things. And he looked at me with sparkling eyes. Said, you know, Santa, I love you. And you ever wonder why Santa has twinkling eyes? It's because of kids like Mikey. They have such a zest for the magic, such a zest for the life. And they are such a gift to all of us that believe. And they're a lure to those that don't. Shortly after, another little girl is on my knee. I said, what would you like for Christmas? And in a soft voice, she says, Santa, I want a blanket. I want a blanket to keep my mommy warm at night. Now, there's some things in the Santa handbook that just aren't covered, and this is one of them. So I'm a little bit perplexed. And I said, you know what? Sometimes I forget, and I forget to leave presents. So if I happen to forget to leave a present, leave the blanket for your mummy on Christmas morning, I want you to promise me something. I want you to promise me that you'll tell your mummy that you asked Santa to bring a blanket to keep her warm. And I'll guarantee you that the magic of your wish will keep your mummy warm. And she smiled and was very happy when she left. Another little girl climbed up on my knee. It's quite entertaining to watch from this perspective. She sits there and I said, well, how are you? She says, I'm very happy, Santa. Well, what is making you so happy? Well, Santa, my parents divorced this year. And how does that make you happy? And she told me, she said, Santa, you know, I go back and forth between my mommy and daddy's house a lot. And you know what, Santa, I know? I know every part of my family loves me. I gave that little girl just a little bit longer hug, and I really wished that she would carry the magic and the love she was feeling right then for the rest of her life. A woman sitting across from me had just finished her lunch, and she announced, I want a picture with Santa. Okay. She sits on my knee. I make the mistake. What would you like for Christmas? She puts her arms around and says, you, Santa. I saw the magic in her, but not so much in Mrs. Claus that was sitting over here. But I learned from her as well. I learned that the magic is both with the young and the old. I hear Susan, she's on the phone, and she says, yes, he's still here. Come on down. In through the door comes this man with a grown son. I make some extra room for him. And he comes over, and I'm not sure how to help him. So I look up at him, and I said, well, what would you like for Christmas? And he's telling me, and his exuberance is just contagious. He is just so excited to be with me, with Santa. And he's trying to explain the things he wants, what he's hoping for, and things like that. And I still feel the warmth of his hug to this day. As his father was going out the door, he turns to me and he says, you know, you're a very good Santa. And I said, thank you, sir, but you are an exceptional father, bringing your large son here. Shortly after, the two girls are back. I thought I'd convince them. Guess I hadn't. And they're bickering again. They come over and say, Santa, 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 are you real? You have all this fake hair. Are you really real? Now I'm feeling the full weight of my new job. I'm feeling the full weight of my red outfit. Oh, ho, ho, why, yes. Why, yes, I am. And they were happy. A little girl was inching towards me. She was a little bit shy. She wouldn't sit on my knee. And come and see me. You can bring your mommy if you want. And I get close, so she's looking at me right in the eye. And she said, is it true that you brought my mommy a kitten when she was a little girl? Now, mommy's looking me right in the eye and said, what are you going to do to that guy, with that guy? Oh, ho, ho, yes, I did. And the following year, I brought your mommy an Easy Bake Oven. And mommy, how did you like the Easy Bake Oven? And mommy burst out and said, I loved it, Santa. It was so great. I make so many cakes. Thank you so much, Santa. And the magic was going between the three of us. And that little girl's eyes could not get any bigger. You know, I've learned to believe in magic. I've learned about magic from the other side of the Santa suit. And there's one thing I'd like to wish for all of you as you go forward, for wherever you go, to you to feel the magic. Thank you.
Love you, Santa. Speakers, join me on stage. Come on. Let's stand up here. Come on, everybody. Get in here. Come on in, everyone. Hold hands. Everybody, up and down. Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you in the spring at the next Sooke Talks. Good night, everyone.